serves as the megaphone for individuals who have endured transformational change. By highlighting trials and triumphs, our desire is to create a safe space for pivotal conversations, which in turn will deepen the story and provoke hope for you, our listeners. As you may know, change is never easy, but it is inevitable. You are not alone in what you're facing. Your transformation is possible, purposeful, and now. And here's Aaron Wiggum, founder and managing director of New You, with this week's guest.
Hi, I'm Aaron Wiggum, and I am one of the hosts of New Voices. New Voices has served as a megaphone for individuals who have endured transformational change by highlighting trials and triumphs. Our show creates a safe space for pivotal conversations, which, in turn, will deepen the story and provoke hope for you, our listeners. As you may know, change is never easy, but it is inevitable. You are not alone in what you are facing, and we want to thank all of our listeners who have tuned in to these stories throughout the years. In this episode, we are diving into a true staple to New Voices storytelling, the notion of holding on to hope. Holding on to hope is to continue to believe that a positive outcome is possible, especially during difficult and challenging times. In life, difficult and challenging times are seemingly inevitable for us all, and some people are built for the struggle or built by the struggle. I want to first start off our dive into hope with none other than Timothy Bright. So Tim is a very dedicated human being. I've known him to be thoughtful in his leadership as well as in his consideration of all plans and strategies that he oversees. I'm so proud of Tim and his growth, even as a young professional, and how he's contributing to a major ecosystem at such an early stage in his career. His future, like his last name, is amazingly bright. I bring to you none other than Timothy Bright. Can you take us to a time where, and it could very well be your whole immigration story, but can you take us to a time where you've had to endure something and you just didn't know how it was going to play out? Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you hold on to hope through that situation?
Mm-hmm. I think for me, that was my immigration.
Okay.
Most recent one is my immigration journey.
Okay.
I mean, like I said, it's a lot of resisting. There's no assurances at all.
Yeah.
And when you're betting your whole future on the U.S.
somebody else's
immigration
decision.
system,
Yeah.
it's just like stressful.
Mm-hmm.
And I just didn't know how that was going to happen. I think I talked to you about it.
Mm-hmm.
I came to you, we prayed together at some point.
Yes, we did.
I did not know how that was going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, all you can do is just hope that it's going to turn out great.
Yeah.
But I didn't know how I was going to make it.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the things that really helped me and anchored me during that time was, just holding on to the faith that I am here for a purpose, and it's not by accident that I ended up in Tulsa, and it's not just going to end. Right. For some reason, I just had that hope in me that either I'll get the H-1B visa or something else will open up.
Right.
And so that took me through that time. But like, I just remembering, and it's not so far ago, it's like a year ago.
Yeah.
When I was going through this process.
Right.
And just remembering, talking to my brother, I'm like, hey, 1 month from now, I could be packing my bags going back to Uganda.
Mm-hmm.
And like my whole family is looking up to me and they're like, we're hoping you get selected. Like let me maybe explain what really happened. Like my parents were praying, like, we hope he makes it.
Right.
Everyone that I know, all my friends.
Yeah.
And so I could feel all that pressure of everyone is counting on this breakthrough for this to work out. And it was the first time in Tulsa I was also doing this. So there was just so much that we didn't know, so much unknowns. But I just held on to that hope of, I am here on purpose.
Yeah.
For a purpose.
Yeah.
And one way or the other, this is going to work out. And it did.
Yeah.
I think my biggest lesson was embracing that journey, because there are nights where I was like, why am I even still working? Because I do not know if I'll have a job tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I also had a few people that were in my corner and it checked in on me. I think Megan did a great job as my manager of like, hey, we'll figure it out.
Right.
I mean, I think that's one thing that helps us go through some of the hardest times of our lives is
having those people.
Having those people. Like I had a great support system.
Yes.
My parents were praying for me were supporting me, and we would check in all the time. My brothers were supporting me. And then my employer, my manager was also supportive. And then friends like you who would like check in and like, what's going on?
Right.
When should we expect the news? When are you expecting the news? And keep hoping and encouraging me. But those people got me through some of my hardest moments.
Yeah. And I just want to double down by saying this, that, you know, when all things in life are variables,
right,
rely on the constant.
That's true.
Everything else, there's going to always be something that's going. That was that storm. But in every situation where you're surrounded by variables, rely on the constant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my immigration journey has not been as challenging as so many other people, but the immigration system in America is challenging for anyone that goes through it. It takes time.
Yes.
And I've talked to you about this. There's a time where I was like nervous. I was like, I don't know if I'll get selected. And if I didn't get selected back then in 2022, I would have to leave the country or go back to school. So there's not so many options for you. But I'm grateful that I got selected, and I'm on path to maybe permanent residency at some point, which not so many international students get that opportunity. So my story has really been different, but challenging, of course. There are nights where you think, what happens if, you know, April 1 comes and I find out I wasn't selected?
Yeah.
Do I just like pack my bags and leave?
Yeah.
Or do I go back to school? What happens? And that time is just not ideal, but you have to keep the faith, one, but also just keep thinking about the bigger picture of, you know, I know what I want in life and I know where I want to go, and I won't give up now.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to quit in my mind now.
Yeah.
And so that got me through that time, my faith and just the belief that, you know, things are going to work out one way or the other. And so that's how I'm actually here today.
Okay. So when you're going through this process, you are, you spent your time in India.
Yes.
You're now in Tulsa. You are going through this whole visa situation.
Right.
And you're working a full-time job.
Yes.
You are also helping your brothers to come to America.
Right. And guardian to my youngest brother.
Okay, guardian to your...
Yeah.
So all of this pressure at age what?
26.
26 years old.
Yeah.
Okay, while learning a new culture.
Right.
Okay. Let's talk about the pressure. Okay. We have a saying at New U that pressure gives you energy. Stress takes your energy, right? So, but sometimes if too much pressure, it becomes stress.
Right.
Right? And when it's stress, that's when you break.
Yes.
So let's talk about the pressure of being the first, not to come to America, but the first to like plant the seeds and kind of get, everything else.
Yeah.
Talk about that. What is that? What is the weight? What does the weight of that feel like? And how did you internalize it or release it? Or are you still working through that? Or like, did you go to therapy? Like, help us to understand how to navigate how you navigate that thing.
Yeah. I am not perfect. So I am still walking
None of us are.
That. Yeah. I think for me, I've always dealt with pressure in my own way. Because I'm the firstborn of 4 boys. So like my parents always told me, your brothers are looking up to you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, making it in America is not just the pressure of me trying to make it. There's also like my whole family hinging on this breakthrough.
Yes.
And so I've felt the pressure.
Yeah.
It's exhausting sometimes.
Yes.
There are times when you wake up and you're like, this is exhausting.
Mm-hmm.
I have a young brother that's just turned 18.
Mm-hmm.
We pay his tuition and take care of him. He's in a private school.
Mm-hmm.
And then, my parents, we sort of like also help them come here. Yeah. They stay here with us.
Switch roles now.
Right.
Yeah.
And then work, right? And so there's so many pressures.
Mm-hmm.
But where I've always found my, safe place or health is faith. And I've always like run to my faith because it's really fundamental to me, what I believe in. And, just serving in church helps me sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
After a stressful week, I serve at my church and just trusting in God. And that has always taken me through some of the most exhausting weeks of my life. But I mean, pressure does help you become confident sometimes.
Yes. Yeah.
And going through all of this, the whole H-1B process, the pressure of thinking, I've got to go through this process to secure this full-time job from, even going back to when I just started my MBA program, the pressure of I have to graduate through this at the end of this program and get a job.
And get a job,
And, get a job that can pay me enough to live in Tulsa.
Yeah.
It has always been, encouraging that after all of this, like graduating from OIU, I became stronger and more confident.
Yeah.
Going through this immigration process, I can boldly tell other people you can make it because I know I have gone through this process and it has some way refined me and made me a better person and a stronger person, more resilient.
Right.
But I think, the pressure always like strengthens us. But if it's too much pressure and you don't have an out or a way of an escape, a place you escape to, it can break you.
Yes.
And I've been there before, right? Like at OU, I had to keep a full-time job to pay for school and also figure out how I can work and do my full-time MBA program. And it got really too much for me. I gained so much weight. And so OU has this program where you can do therapy. And coming from Uganda, therapy's not
a thing.
It's not a thing.
Yeah.
So it took some convincing, but also realizing that I needed help. And so I went to therapy for some time there. So it has always really just been figuring out what are ways I could escape and find help. But still, learn through these pressures that come.
Yeah. Do you feel as though you've made a way?
For myself and my brothers?
Yes.
That's a tough question.
I know. That's why I was trying to...
But I feel like I am trying to make a way.
Okay.
And... my parents being here is a huge dream for us.
Yeah.
Like we're planning a trip to Brownsville, Missouri up here soon. But my parents have never been on vacation.
Yes.
Because we grew up trying to make ends meet.
Right.
And so seeing myself here, supporting my parents, my brother, I feel like that's the start, the beginning. There's so much more. I by no means feel like I have arrived, but I feel like we're starting to see, we're starting to see back home, we call it the promised land, and experiencing, enjoying the fruits of our labor.
Yeah.
So I feel like, yes, we're starting to see a way.
Okay.
And myself having a job here, my brother having a job in the US working here, my parents are so proud of us because they're like, we saw these boys here and our peers back home do not have jobs.
Right.
There are some of our friends that do not have jobs.
Yeah.
And being able to have jobs that can pay us well enough to support our brothers, bring our parents in here, sometimes visit is to some level like a measure of success for us.
Yes.
And our parents are so proud of us. And I think, to answer your question, I think we're starting to see the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. At 26.
Next, we can't talk about hope without talking about Amoni Myers. This woman battled so much adversity in her life, but she overcame it in order to become. What she shared in this episode is a great example of how hope can sometimes be the only thing you have, but also the only thing you need. Amoni is the light of any party or any room that she's in. Her personality just shines so bright in every setting I've seen her in. And since the program, she's gone on to write an Amazon best-selling book. She's going on to do speaking engagements at prestigious universities. And she really has made her mark in this world. And I'm really proud of her and how she has taken the story of her of loss and defeat and catalyzed it into triumph and change. And so please take a listen to this amazing human being as she shares her story, none other than Amoni Myers.
And it wasn't until my high school principal sat me down and said, Amoni, what do you like to do besides drawing graffiti on the wall? And I was 17 years old at the time and I didn't know.
Yeah.
But it was them sitting down with me and talking to me and helping me figure out what was it that I was really good at.
Yeah.
And through that conversation, they discovered I grew up in foster care.
Mm-hmm.
They also discovered that I was a really good writer. They also discovered that I was somebody who was very friendly, that the teachers loved me. And so they were like, we're going to really like use this to really help support you. And so it was them really taking the time to work with me every day.
Yeah.
And it was through that experience that I passed the standardized test. And I think for me, I remember my high school principal, because I had a documented disability, what they wanted to do was they wanted to essentially not have me take the test. They wanted to get me approved so that I didn't have to take it. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that because I want to prove to myself.
Moving forward. Yeah.
Exactly. And I wanted to prove to myself that I could do it without the extra assistance of not actually doing it. I wanted to at least try. And by them putting those supports in place, it really helped me elevate. So, and I passed.
Wow. So when you think about, and shout outs to all the wonderful educators out there who are actually doing the work,
Absolutely.
who take it as more than a job and who go that extra mile. I think as something that's, I'm going to underscore something you just said about this one educator and your principal who understood that you weren't stupid, right?
Yep.
Okay, so you're not learning it this way. What other way do you learn, right? And having that alternative, it brought you to light.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, well, if a flower's not growing in this pot, what if we put it in this basin? Like, how do we reposition her for success?
Absolutely.
And sometimes, when you are coming in with such a troubled past, all based on things that you had no control over, right?
Yeah.
You now are a lot of times just coping, and you're living you are living a life that is basically for survival, right? And so some of the things that may come natural to other children, they don't have to worry about all the other things that you're worrying about.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I just wanted to underscore that point there with the educator and your principal, how they found a way to approach one thing from an alternative standpoint, and how that unlocked this beautiful tapestry of who you are right now and the author that you are right now and all the other things. You already were doing these things, but sometimes our American education system doesn't give you credit for the things that you do. It only measures the things that they want you to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it's not tailored.
Exactly.
And it was interesting because one of the things that when I was writing my book, I had reached out to my principal and just asked her, what made you, decide to invest in me? What made you believe in me?
Yeah.
And she said, Amoni, you were a student that went under the radar, and I saw that.
Yeah.
And the crazy part is my school was actually a large school, but during my junior year, it turned into 4 smaller schools to help with the achievement gap.
Right.
So my senior year, this was a brand new principal. And sometimes you also need new energy to be able to understand problems that may have already persisted and people have already just walked over.
Yep.
But she saw the problem and she helped me head on.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
wow, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Let's talk about being in the foster care system. We always hear nightmares about the foster care system.
Yeah.
And so, can you share a little bit about the experiences, whatever you're comfortable with, and where you what does it feel like? Do you feel displaced or do you feel excited? Talk a little bit about how you're feeling in the system, and then in those given experiences as you're going from one foster place to perhaps another.
Yeah, that's a really good question.
Yeah.
One of the things that I say is that, in the foster care system, it's kind of like you're learning how to ride a bike for the first time without training wheels. And you don't have any guidance.
Yeah.
You don't have really a lot of support, and you don't have a lot of agency.
Yeah.
And so for me, I was, playing basketball on the basketball court, and all of a sudden, a teacher showed up, and I thought I was in trouble, because I was a troublemaker.
Yeah, you thought you did something.
I thought I did something.
They caught me over there chewing on crayons.
Right. And so when he ended up picking me up and bringing me into a conference room, I was met by my social worker and my 2 siblings. And it was there that we learned that we were no longer going home. And that was really devastating because I was not necessarily sure what was going on. It just felt like it was a little bit out of the blue. And I just didn't know what to anticipate. And so when we went into the DCF office, it was after hours, all of our belongings were already packed up and already there. And so you don't really get a chance to say goodbye to your family. You don't get a chance to say goodbye to your mom. And so I felt like that was one traumatic experience that I faced. But then when my social worker ended up bringing me over into our foster homes, I thought that we were all going to be together.
Right.
And it was there that we got separated.
Oh.
And so that's an issue that is very prevalent in the foster care system, is that they don't keep siblings together.
Yeah.
And for me, my siblings and I, we made a pact at a very young age that we were going to stick together, that we were going to raise our kids together, that we were in it together. And so to not necessarily be able to experience and do that, that was really challenging.
Yeah.
You go from, sharing a bedroom with your little sister, who's your best friend, to all of a sudden, she's no longer with you.
Right.
And sometimes people don't recognize that the bond that siblings have is one of the most important. It's one of the most crucial.
Yeah.
And it's a place where it's a protective factor.
Yeah.
Your siblings are your protective factors.
Right.
And so to be able to be ripped away from not just my biological mother and my family members, but to be ripped away from my little sister was really hard, because my brother and I ended up living together. But then, I ended up having to leave. And that was really challenging. I'm not sure if you ever heard of the 7-day notice.
No.
But essentially a 7-day notice is when a foster parent no longer wants you in their home. They put out a 7-day notice and you have within 7 days to leave. And I remember I was actually talking to my foster sister about this yesterday. We were watching a short film and I was like, I remember overhearing my foster mom talk to her best friend on the phone and telling her that I was going to be leaving. So I knew before she even told me, because I overheard her, And so I just think that the challenges of, being ripped away from your biological family and not understanding why, to then thinking you're going into a better home, which you're really not. A lot of the times.
A lot of the time, yeah.
So you're often questioning, what was the point of me even leaving my biological family?
Right.
If the same stuff that I'm experiencing in my biological family that I'm experiencing here in foster care, And so for me, that was just, really challenging.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the aging out process, which means that when you turn either 18 or 21, all of a sudden, you're on your own. You're on your own.
Yeah.
And for me, I was living with a family for about 2.5 years.
Okay.
And I was expected to like stay with them throughout college. That's what I thought.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden I'm told, that my foster mom is no longer being paid to take care of me. So I need to leave. And so
this is a different one than the...
This is a different one, yeah.
Okay, wow.
This is when I was aging out.
Okay.
And, you never really are able to establish stability.
Yeah.
Or even being able to trust and build trust. Sometimes people, what I say is that people just expect for you to trust, but trust is like really earned.
It is.
And especially if you've grown up in foster care, you have to like really prove yourself that you're trustworthy, that you're going to be consistent.
Yeah.
And all of those things can also just lay out into your own patterns of your own life as you're really trying to unlearn some of those things that you've been taught, from a system perspective.
Yeah. And let me just chime in here. I think that, you're talking about trust, and this is a very sensitive time for both the foster parent as well as the child. It's a very sensitive time because they don't know what they're accepting into their house, who they're accepting into their house, what comes along with that. And then you don't know whose house you're walking into and what stuff that they're dealing with, right? And so like, it's very important on both sides for truth to be paramount, right?
Absolutely.
Like truth, like you can't even spell trust without true, right?
Absolutely.
Like and I always tell people like, everybody wants you to be honest until you tell them the truth.
Yep.
But like the truth is so necessary in building trust that if you don't have truth, you don't have trust.
Yeah.
And when, the foster parent may be just appearing up a certain way for the agency, but really, I'm thinking a lot about like the story of Annie, right?
Yep.
How the woman, I forget the woman's name, was running the house, and she's lying about this and doing that, but so you might be presenting yourself one way, and actually it's not that way, and then the child may be presenting themselves one way, like just I want somebody to take me in. And so on both ends, somebody's hiding something, right? And you can't hide and confide. Like confidence has to be transparent, right?
Yeah.
For me to have true confidence in what you're doing. And people will confide in me a lot about a lot of different things. But what I'll tell them is, no, you got to tell me the whole truth.
Well, I've had to hold on to hope. But I would say the most pressing one for me was losing my little sister to suicide. Having your best friend be taken away from you, as you go through the foster care system. I feel like I experienced that loss pretty early. But losing her to death was just even more difficult because it's something that feels so final.
Yeah.
And I felt like my life was at the crux of my career. I had just graduated from grad school. And so, you're really excited, you're, flowing, you're ready to conquer the world. And then all of a sudden, boom, something like this happens. And so for me, it was like the first time in my life that I really wasn't sure if I was going to make it. And so I think holding on to hope actually started with the feelings of experiencing hopelessness and sitting in that. For me, it was me spending long periods of time in the bed and trying to figure out what was I going to do. Lots and lots of therapy. And I remember actually I was slated to speak at a conference, and I had just connected with an organization, and we were working on a series called Courageous Conversations. And I was supposed to fly to Boston to go do that conference, and I just could not do it. My mental health was like not in the space to be able to do it. And so I had to take the risk and say, hey, I really have to take care of myself. So I ended up going into an intensive outpatient treatment program and learning about acceptance commitment therapy. And it was actually in that moment that I realized that I had something to hold on to. And it was really my sister's memory, my sister's legacy. And what I ended up doing was turning and actually writing. That has been my tool of support.
Okay.
And so I wrote a book.
Yeah.
And for me, it was, I really want to be able to heal through my story. And by healing through my story, I needed to write about it.
Yeah.
Because for a really long time, my story was silenced. I didn't get to talk about it.
Right.
Nobody really knew.
Right.
People thought they knew, but they didn't actually know what actually happened. And so in me writing was really my journey towards healing. It was through holding on to other previous memories that I've had. You know, I think that when the important thing for me that I've had is that I've had a lot of really hard stuff happen, but I've also had a lot of good stuff that's happened.
Yeah.
And so in the moments where negative things happen, one of the things that I can look back on or fall back on is that I've had experience with positivity. I've had experience with hope. And so my hope is the future. You know, my hope is what's happening, not necessarily presently, but what step can I take to move that momentum forward?
Got it.
And so for me, holding on to hope has been recognizing that life has its moments. And for me, I had to learn that because sometimes, you know, there'd be one day where I feel really, really good. And the next day I don't. And I remember early on in my mental health struggles was like, oh my gosh, like there feels like there's no end in sight. But then the next day I wake up and life feels great or life feels better. And so it's really meeting myself in those moments to know that hope will reappear.
Finally, this young woman is a New Youth sensation, and Tulsa is so lucky to have her. As the chief fun officer of her own company, her story is both inspirational and heartbreakingly common for immigrants in this country. As she found her voice over the years, she also found her purpose and passion. Mimi is a designer's original. She's going to share her amazing story in a moment. But me knowing her and the work that she's done in this community, there's only one Mimi. And she has contributed so much to people here in the Tulsa region and other places also, bringing all the flair and spices from Honduras to the wonderful states. I love working with her, and we do amazing things together. Think about it. Her title is Chief Fun Officer. How much better can you get than that? So I bring to you none other than Mimi Martinez.
So I used to be very religious growing up. I grew up in a very conservative religious household, and I strongly believe in God. Nor I'm like super involved in church or anything like that now, but I think just having that faith, you know, that God is putting good people my way, and I don't just say like, oh, I'm just gonna leave it to God. You have to do the work.
You have to do the work.
You have to do the work. You cannot just be like, I'll just leave it to God and God will take care of it.
No.
You have to do the work, and it's by the people you surround yourself with.
Yes.
You know, I think building a strong network of people that build you up, that are happy for you,
Wish
that
you well,
celebrate with you, that cry with you, like they have genuine feelings towards you. I think that's really important. Whether those are family members, friends, you know, you create your own tribe if you have to. But I think it's finding those individuals and letting them in. I think that's a big part. A lot of times we have so many walls up and we tell ourselves, and I've heard it from multiple friends, I can't find like the friends that you have. I'm like, I have let them in. We've had hard conversations. We disagree on things. We have learned to agree to disagree, and we have built this friendship because we have let each other in. We've exchanged ideas, and they don't always agree with me. I don't agree with them. But we have built this network of like friend, and you know, it's not network, but like just friendship, and you know, just that trust is there. So I think that's really important. And you know, you were saying earlier, it's like, you know, getting to know yourself. I think in anything, if you don't know yourself, and I'm still you're never gonna stop working on it. And that's why, like, anytime I see a program or like, that's why I went to NEO. I was like, I need this. I know that I need this. And just working on yourself, I think is really, really important to holding on to hope, because once you know yourself, you know your strengths and your weaknesses. You're going to lean on those strengths. You're going to say, okay, this is what I'm good at. This is what I want to pursue. And then also that's when you know your limits and your boundaries. And I think that saves a lot of heartache. Like, I draw boundaries with my family. I'm very clear on them. They like it or not. I'm like, listen, this is for me. This is not about you. This is about me.
Yes.
And I'm going to do what is going to make me happy and me comfortable. And if I don't want to be around a different family member, I didn't invite half my family to my wedding.
Me either. Listen, when I got married, we had a guest list of 108 people. 93 showed up. And I had a bunch of relatives, aunts and uncles who were there when I came out the womb, but they weren't invited because my thing was this, I got married at 35. So I was a little bit older. I can't get married and go back to a 1-bedroom apartment, yada, yada, yada. Like, I'm not 25 trying to figure this out. I'm 35 and I'm taking on a woman, not some young girl who, right? And so we're going to leave this wedding and we're going to go into a house. And we're going to set up right? And so I can't spend my house money for you to drink and dance. It's not even wise, right? And so I think in America, we definitely got this messed up because actually the way it was designed was that the parents would pay for the wedding because the parents were established. But now the bride and groom are paying for the wedding, right? In a lot of cases. And they're trying to have the same type of wedding that established people used to throw. So like now you're starting at this deficit. Day one, when you get married, that's the first day. That's not the last day. Like the wedding is the beginning, not the finale. In America, we treat it as just the finale. Like, okay, yeah, now we're married. Okay, now you're arguing about a bunch of bills you can't pay because you just dropped $35,000 on this wedding, and you're going into a 1-bedroom apartment, and your light bill's behind, and your water bill's behind, right? And so you want to talk about where your first arguments are going to come? Right there.
Finance, Yep.
So
and family's not going to be there to pay your bills.
No.
And with me, it's like drawing the line because I know my family very well. I'm like, if I didn't serve the right alcohol, they were going to complain. If I didn't have the right food, they were going to complain. They were going to, like any little thing they were. So I just didn't invite certain family members. And they found out like everybody else through Facebook.
That's okay.
Social media.
Yeah. Hey, it is what it is. Yeah. No.
So, and I, that was something my mom, she helped me pay for some of the wedding. And I even went there. I was like, I'll take your help. Thank you very much.
Yep.
You get one table.
Right.
You get one table of people. She was like, what? I was like, I don't care. You get one. Like, if you're going to help me, you're going to help me because my mom always has a saying, si vas a hacer algo, hazlo bien. If you're going to do something, do it the right way.
Right.
Do it because you want to, right? Okay. Because it comes like from the heart.
Not to get something back from
Exactly.
it. Yeah.
So I was like, and I used to back on her and she said, okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. My dad did the same thing where he wanted particular relatives to be there. And he's like, I'll pay extra for this. And we look, we're not doing 300-400 people to make you happy. I'm not a child and you're not paying enough for this. And so we scaled that all the way back. Like I said, 108 people, 93 showed up. It was a wonderful time. And the thing is, what I told him is anybody can come to the wedding. You're welcome. If you want to come celebrate me, you can bring a gift to the wedding. If you care that much, come to it. And we did it on a Friday. So that was another thing. Like we did it during a work day on a Friday. So you had to want to be there. And if you couldn't, then I'm okay with that. Right. But what I don't believe in doing is being an added expense to someone when you see that they're trying to do something bigger and better. You know what I'm saying? And so often family puts that onus on you, like, but I'm Uncle so-and-so and I'm aunt. No. Or what you could do is you can help put some money in and that may, take some stress off of me, right? And so I just think that, I applaud you for standing your ground, which I know you will, standing your ground and saying like, no, this is how we're going to do this. Many times individuals, especially brides, don't do that. They concede to their mother's, desires, right? And all of a sudden this $15,000 wedding is a $40,000 wedding.
Exactly.
Because mother wants, the high.
Brag to her friends.
Yes. Yeah.
I told her, I was like, I would tell them, I was like, the pictures are going to be beautiful. Your friends are going to see it on Facebook, like everybody else. So she got some of her friends there. But, I think, something that I've always admired, and I criticized a lot earlier on, it's about like my dear white friends. Like they set boundaries with their, at least from what I've witnessed, right? At least the people that I've been around.
Yeah.
They set boundaries for like around their family members and like, I'm not going to go around so-and-so. And I always like, why? They're family, you know? Because I grew up with this mentality, a family's family no matter what.
No matter what, yeah.
And it's true, but you also have to set boundaries.
You have to have boundaries.
You have to, if you don't say, hey, like, you know, I am just not willing to, you know, just put with this energy in my life or just like, I just don't want to give them this anymore.
Right.
Because you're giving them a piece of you every time. You know,
you say yes.
Yep. So I've always admired that. And I criticized it for a long time. I was like, oh man, white people, like, they just don't care about their family, right? No, it's just a lot of times they set boundaries. And now it doesn't apply to everybody, but you know, at least in the circle of friends that I've had, like I've always admired that. And now that I'm older and I'm like, I get it. Yeah. I get it. Like this is healthy, you know? And you don't have bad blood between, you know, it's just a way to avoid a lot of things. But I think with that said, with hope, a lot of times it's just really like doing the work for yourself. Yeah. You know, it's not easy. I was just telling you before, like I'm looking for a therapist right now because there's some things that I want to work on, but it's not easy. And it's just really, you know, like learning yourself. Because I think once you know yourself, it's just you just get to enjoy life a lot better. Yeah. You get to like pick and choose where you want to be and the places that you want to be. Yeah. And to me, that's important. That's where I want to be. Like I am so like just grateful, really, like to God and the universe for like putting the people that are in my life because they're just amazing people. Yeah. And when I surround myself with those great people, I meet more great people, and it just keeps going. And like I don't feel this like stress of like keeping up with the Joneses, right? Yeah. Like I just feel like me, and I'm accepted, and I'm loved, and I'm enough.
Absolutely. So as you see, hope is very important for all of us as we go throughout life and all of its ups and downs. Hope is a leading tenet for New You and New Voices. And the reason why is because if you don't have hope, or when you lose hope, you lose the energy you need to continue on. Hope has a way of bringing light and life into situations. When something seems hopeless, it feels depleting of life and of substance. And so because of that, we want to continue to echo this message of hope to all communities, to all humans. In this world of ever-changing policies and strategies and practices, hope is paramount because it gives you something to hold on to when you don't know what else to hold on to. In the next episode, we explore stories of strong pivots for transformational change.
Thank you for listening to this episode of New Voices. Visit our website at www.newuunlimited.com. That is NEWUunlimited.com. Follow us on social media at New You Unlimited on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And a special thank you to our producer, Jesse Ulrich. If you're looking for self-improvement, join our programs for personal and professional development. New You is a way for diverse talent to imagine, discover, and actualize a 2.0 version of yourself. Bring your future into focus.